I have these brown spots on my face, and I'm really thinking, what do I need to do?
When you bump into something, you carry a shopping bag, you wake up with a bruise on your arm. I see it every day. The arms are frustrating.
So frustrating.
There's ways to help
If
it.
you're going to go over the counter retinol, Splurge, Steel, can you name a couple of brands you like? And again, we're not getting paid anything for this.
Yeah.
This is just bringing women good information.
So my favorite tolerable non-prescription retinol that I've used personally for 1,000 years is
What does work to try to stimulate collagen as much as possible?
I don't think a facial is a necessary part of a skincare routine.
Is there anything you've seen out there that's just a consumer product, which you're like, you know what, that really works?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of LED light masks. I want to talk about a product because I haven't been able to talk about it, and I want everybody to know about this because she's the first to market with this very special ingredient.
What I love about what we're going to do today is I'm always asking Alyssa, so Alyssa, I want to do this skincare, but I don't want to spend a fortune. So I've invited Alyssa to do Splurge and Steel on procedures and products. Welcome to Ageless with Jane McGarry, where we celebrate vibrant health, self-care, timeless style, and finding purpose at every age. Because around here, age truly is just a number. Brown spots, crepey skin on my arms, brown spots on my chest. If you're listening and saying, "Oh, that sounds like me," then this show is for you. So we all want to look as young as we can, as good as we can for our age. But if you're like me, I'm honestly afraid of plastic surgery. So I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to keep my skin in as good a shape as I can. And one of the people who's really helped me with that is the woman who's going to be on the show today. Alyssa Spiegel I'm going to pick up my notes again because I need these to make sure I introduce her right. She's a good friend. She's a board certified PA, expert at filler and Botox, lasers, peels, overall skincare expert, and she has the best skin I have ever seen in my life. Hi, Alyssa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me.
It is great to see you. You do have the best skin I've ever seen in my life. And what I love about what we're going to do today is I'm always asking Alyssa, so Alyssa, I want to do this skincare, but I don't want to spend a fortune. So I've invited Alyssa to do Splurge and Steel on procedures and products. So Alyssa, first of all, I never asked you this. How did you get into skincare?
I am a visual person and I have always been attracted to dermatology. It's been my entire career. So I think I'm in my 16th year, and it started out heavily medical derm, lots of skin checks. And then just over the last probably really since COVID, everybody's gotten so into the idea of skincare and procedures. And so I've really kind of capitalized on that. I have an Instagram and that's been able to kind of reach out to a bunch of people. So it's become my side passion outside of the general skin health that I do all day long.
You know, one of the things that I'm noticing this, and I don't know, I'm curious about your opinion on this. I'm noticing more older women, and by older, I'm saying mature women above 55, really focusing on their skin because as we get older, honestly, more makeup doesn't look quite as good. It seems like you need to go a little less makeup, which makes the skin more important. Would you agree with that, with what you see with people you see?
Absolutely. So I love my 50 to 70-year-old women, and they always look at me, and I'm 42, so I'm not that much less than that, but they always say, Alyssa, what can I do? How can I have your skin? I actually don't wear a ton of makeup. I do some light kind of foundation, but I think the key to youthful looking skin is hydrated, dewy, almost a little bit shiny when you leave the house, because that's what's going to last throughout the day. I told a woman yesterday, she was like, Alyssa, the powder is sitting in my lines. I said, it's time to get rid of powder. We're not doing powder anymore. So we need to focus on hydration. And some of these products we're going to talk about today are going to give you that look. In the 90s, early 2000s, Jane, you could probably speak to this. Matte was all the rage. Everyone wanted this mattified, zero pore look. And to me, it just looks agey and dry. So we're going dewy these days.
That's so interesting that you say that because particularly in TV, I always had to be really careful that there was no shine whatsoever. So powder was a really important part of TV makeup. But when you get up close to a woman my age who has powder on, you're right. It stays in the wrinkles. It's really not flattering. So your skin becomes more and more important. Okay. So this is something I need to come into you for anyway. So I'm just going to let everybody benefit from whatever you tell me. One thing that I've been looking at lately, you and I have talked, I laid out in the sun a lot when I was a teenager. We didn't know everything we do now. We even had tinfoil to make sure we got really brown. So now you've seen my skin. I have these brown spots on my face, and I'm really thinking, what do I need to do about these brown spots at this point? What's the best treatment for brown spots? And also, what are good products? So let's just start overall, and then I want you to give me the splurge and the steal.
Absolutely. So I think we have to understand this is why it's important to go to somebody that understands the skin. This is a dermatologist, somebody that really looks at skin, a dermatology PA like I am. There's different reasons why we have brown spots. So there's solar lentigines, which are the sunspots. They're flat. That's what you deal with a lot, Jane. That's what my mom deals with. And that's all sun-derived. But there's also something called seborrheic keratoses, which I see a ton too, which are a little bit more raised. They're also brown, and you have to treat those differently than the flat ones. So let's talk about the flat ones because that's the easier thing to deal with. That's where you get them on your face. You've got them on your chest. Everyone gets spray tans and their legs spot up from the spray tans. That's all from these sunspots. So the gold standard product for brown spots is an ingredient called hydroquinone. It is available over the counter in very low percentages, which is not super effective, but it's available by prescription strength. So you would come see somebody like me, or now you can get it on Muesli. There's online resources for this, Teladoc and things like that, where we compound hydroquinone with some retinol and some other pigment correctors. It is the most well-studied ingredient for skin lightening. You do not want to use this product for more than a couple months at a time because there are some deleterious effects long-term. But short-term, it is going to give you the most bang for your buck in terms of pigment correction. The best part is we use compounding pharmacies. It runs like 40 to 60 bucks. So we're not talking expensive. Big side effect people don't love, it can make you dry. So you kind of have to work into these. But anybody that wants to kind of reset, especially this time of year, I'm starting everyone on hydroquinone before we even jump into procedures.
So is that what I need, or do I
Yeah.
need, because yes.
Yes, I would say let's start with you. Let's start with hydroquinone, and then we pivot to some procedures afterwards. It gets us kind of lightened up, and then we can go procedure afterwards.
Okay, so the hydroquinone is, we're going to start with that for my brown spots, and maybe I'll even do this on my social so we can see
Yeah.
where I am when I start, because you've seen my skin.
Yeah, for sure.
So you said then we'll pivot to procedures.
Yeah.
What do we mean there?
Let me talk. I want to mention one more product thing because not everyone's going to have access to hydroquinone just because of certain restrictions. So there are actual products that you can get over the counter that are pigment correctors as well. They're not going to work as fast as hydroquinone, but they're still going to be effective. Still, there is a new product by Eucerin. It's out of Europe, and I'll send you all these. So if you want to post them later,
I'll put them in the show notes.
yeah, we'll put them in the show notes. Eucerin Radiant Tone. It is a $35, $40 product. It has a new ingredient called diamidol, and it is a pigment corrector. So this is something you can go to Target, Walmart, Amazon, and get. And there is good. They actually did clinical trials against hydroquinone, and there is good data for this. So that's another steel type product. There are, if you've ever heard of companies like Alastin and SkinBetter, they also have great pigment correcting products too. So really any skincare line has a pigment corrector in there. So if we're starting out baseline talking about brown spots, everyone needs to be on one of these products.
Now, you said pivot. Pivot to what?
Let's pivot and talk about procedures specifically for brown spots because there's procedures for everything these days. Brown spots, lasers are a great option, again, depending on the type of pigment you have. So if you were talking standard brown spots, kind of freckly little stuff, IPL, which everyone has heard about, is the gold standard laser treatment that targets pigment. It probably isn't going to be a one and done. So usually we wait till this time of year when we're less in the sun and we do a series of these to kind of bring up all the brown. We describe it as peppering. All the brown spots peel off. and it gives you that kind of more radiant look. Everybody has an IPL machine in Dallas or wherever you're listening from. It's more about the settings than the actual machine. So find somebody that you trust that knows what they're doing with your skin. But IPL is great.
Can you talk about the settings and the importance of finding somebody you trust on that? What are the potential pitfalls that you can have?
So a laser is like a car, but the driver is the most important thing for the car, right? So everyone can get a laser. We all buy from the same, there's several different big companies out there. It is all about the settings. And that's where the variability when you're visiting somebody at a med spa or dermatology office, it changes. And there are great laser technicians at med spas. There are great laser technicians at dermatology offices. So I think you can access these at any kind of price point now in any location. But you want to make sure someone understands your skin. So skin tone is very important. You do not want to get burned. That's the biggest thing. And I have seen through my years, people have gone to people that don't quite understand the setting, and we have dealt with burns. So that is where you're going to get into trouble. Now, the other side is if the settings aren't correct, you don't get burned, but you also don't get results. That's not great either. So you need to find somebody. I always recommend, gosh, you can get on social now and see befores and afters. Talk to your friends about who have had good results, and that's where you're going to find somebody that'll know what they're doing.
So for brown spots, the splurge would be, if I just really want to go after it and tackle it, the splurge would be what? And the steel is what?
So splurge, I would say IPL, just because you've got to do a series of them. So you'll probably get potentially over $1,000 just in laser, which is very effective. A steel is a chemical peel, like old fashioned, great, literally exactly what you think. We put a chemical on your skin, it peels your skin over the next 5 to 7 days. The downfall with this is a lot of people don't want to be dry and peely for a week. So you've got to find time. There are different types of chemical peels. There are variable strengths in these chemical peels, but we've been doing chemical peels forever. And if you can find time, super effective. Let's talk maybe a couple $100 for a peel that would really get you somewhere.
Okay. While we're on the subject of lasers, what are the other, because IPL is a laser to me. I don't know if that's correct or not, but what are the other best uses of lasers?
So I position lasers in different categories. IPL is intense pulse light. It is technically not a laser, but it lands in that. It doesn't really matter. That's just nuance. And then we get into sort of like the resurfacing type laser. So there's mild, low downtime resurfacing that don't get super deep. And I'm going to throw out brand names just because everyone's here. There's Moxi, or at my office, we have Clear and Brilliant. I love this laser. It is a low downtime, high yield, light resurfacing. After I do it, I feel like my skin's brighter. It actually helps a little bit with pigment. Moxi sort of does the same thing. Then you're going to land in a more aggressive resurfacing laser. People have heard of Halo, Fraxel, or even CO2. And those are going to be the more aggressive ablative, meaning breaking the skin barrier, collagen stimulating, texture tone. Those are going to be week to 2 week downtime. So that's kind of a broad overview. And then there's lots of lasers that land in between, but that at least gives you kind of categorically where we land.
Okay. I'm going to admit right here, I'm pretty careful with my skin. And as you know, I have not done anything with lasers so far. If you were looking at someone like me who has, I think I've got pretty normal skin for my age, what would you do if you were looking at my skin in terms of lasers?
I'd probably do a series of IPL, knock all those brown spots out for sure. And then I think if you had like a week after Christmas or first of the year, I'd probably do a Halo or Fraxel type laser, a great resurfacing laser. Again, if you go to your trusted people, there is not going to be any issue with it. The biggest thing is recovery, but you will see the most results with fine lines, collagen stimulation, pigmentation, texture tone, all the things you want with a more aggressive laser.
Okay. And is there a splurge and a steal on lasers?
No, those are all, no, they're all going to be relatively the same and not cheap, but again, going to give you results. So worth it.
Okay. Let's go to the thing that a lot of women complain to me about is, and the thing I have a problem with, frankly, is thinning skin, whether it's on your face or the most irritating thing is on my arms, the thinning skin. And all of a sudden, all you did was touch something and you've got a bruise. It's horrible. Is there anything to do about thinning skin when it comes to procedures or products.
So understanding why our skin thins, which can be the entire theme of this podcast, because we'll keep going back to it, is we lose collagen over time. Collagen is what is our strength. That's what how our skin is strong. And as we age, just aging alone will break down our skin, but there are lots of other factors. Sleep, UV, alcohol, all of these things, free radical, all these things are tackling our skin every day and trying to break them down. Our body, our body skin, we just have not taken care of as well as our face. And so over time, that skin thins. The structure's not there anymore. When you bump into something, you carry a shopping bag, you wake up with a bruise on your arm. Every day someone comes in, Alyssa, you don't understand. I said, it hasn't happened to me yet, but I see it every day. The arms are frustrating.
So frustrating.
It is. And so there's ways to help, and it's going to be slow, but the most well-studied ingredient for collagen stimulation is retinol. And we'll go around and say this 100 times over, but retinol is what we know clinically proven to strengthen our skin. So there are body retinols, tons of them now. There used to be none, and now there are tons. You can get it at Target. I can recommend a couple that are higher end, but they are everywhere. So baseline, start a body retinol every night. Now, retinol is going to make you burn easier in the sun. So the contralateral is making sure you're wearing sunscreen every day, because the sun is going to break down your skin barrier and that collagen too. If you have an active bruise, because this is another big question, what can I do? Arnica is going to be your best defense. There's a product called Dermend, which is Arnica and some other blend that will shorten the duration of a bruise. IPL, actually, which is, I can't imagine many people are going to come in, but say your son's wedding is coming up and you've got a bruise on your arm, you can get IPL to help mitigate a bruise quicker. So that's a nice, more splurgy type way to deal with a bruise.
Okay, so I started using a body lotion that has retinol in it pretty regularly about a year ago. I feel like I've had really good results. I feel like it has helped some with not having bruising, and the skin isn't quite as crepey. I'm not going to mention the brand I use because I don't want to influence what you're going to say. Is there a difference in price points on these body retinols? Is there something that is one better than the other? And I've just started using it all over. I'm like, I'm going to use lotion anyway. Why don't I just use it everywhere?
Yeah, for sure. Use it everywhere. Chest, just use it as your body lotion. No issue there. There's going to be variability in the percentage of retinol. And so the higher percentages of retinol potentially are going to be more effective. Now, most of these body retinol companies don't even advertise the percentage. It's much more dilute than what you would want for your face. I will tell you, this is a local Dallas company, but U Beauty has done some really cool stuff. And Tina created, I have it written down so I don't want to mess it up, the Sculped arm compound. And it is incredible for arms. And I have so many people that use it like around their knees for tightening. And it's retinol and a blend of other things. So that's definitely going to be a splurge. I can't remember, we're somewhere in the 100s there. She also has a resurfacing body compound that is beautiful. Like it feels great on the skin. It feels like an elegant serum all over your body. But again, those are going to land in the higher price point. There's a company I love out of California named Naturium, and it's sold at Target. They have a renewing body lotion that's great. I think, Jane, I told you a year ago about Advanced Clinicals. It's a big tub of white goop that you get.
That's what I've been using.
And that stuff is great. It's $20 and it works. So that's the thing that if my patients come in, I actually have a printout and just, here's your Advanced Clinicals. It's not so elegant. You can probably speak to that, but you can mix it with some perfume or some other fragrancy lotion.
It's fine.
I think it's great.
Okay, we're going to talk about retinol for the face because I know you're a big proponent of retinol and it's so confusing about what's out there and what you should use. And we're going to also look at a lot of other things when we come back. I'm really excited to offer you something starting in 2026. You know, this podcast is for women who are interested in being lifelong learners, living as well and as long as we can in a wonderful, purposeful way. Well, one of the things I love to do most is travel. And beginning in 2026, I have exciting travel opportunities to offer to you. I have chosen a provider who I trust because I have known Casey with Sharon Car Travel for years now. Casey has traveled all the continents. He's been all over the world. If you have any travel needs at all, whether it's a tour with me or maybe you just want to go somewhere on your own, Casey at Sharon Car Travel will take you there safely, in style, and you'll have a wonderful time. Thank you, Sharon Car Travel, for being one of the sponsors of Ageless with Jane McGarry and supporting all of us women. Okay, I know you're a big proponent of retinol for the face every night. And I know there's a huge variation here in price point and effectiveness. Can you just talk about what's best for a woman, let's say when she's 50, 60, 70? What do you recommend in terms of retinol?
So retinol, back to the basics, going to stimulate the collagen. It's actually prescription strength retinol called tretinoin, is actually FDA approved for fine facial wrinkles. So has gone through clinical trials, proven effectiveness for wrinkles. Now, gold standard, because I want to talk about that first, is prescription strength. Retin-A, everyone has heard that name through the years. It's generic now. It's called tretinoin. It's widely available. You can get a prescription online. You can get it from your derm. Affordability is there. If you can get a tube for around $50, a tube could last you up to a year. The pitfalls of prescription strength are they're going to make you dry. And the goal is to use them every night, and using a prescription strength retinol every night is probably going to be too drying. And then you're going to struggle with looking peely and dry. So I typically recommend starting with a lesser percentage strength OTC formulation, unless you just want to jump right in and do the prescription, and then kind of work your way up. Some people will never be able to get past an over-the-counter, and there's good data on the longer you use even these over-the-counter ones, you will yield the same results. Some people can jump into a high-strength prescription and do fine with it. So I never want to deter somebody for that, but I think that starting lower is where I would recommend. And now there's a million retinols over the counter. All OTC retinols are not created equal. And that's your question. I mean, there's retinaldehyde, which is the most potent form of retinol over the counter. And so I typically push people towards that. There is retinol. There's retinoic acid, which is going to be in some of these very light formulations. So there is a brand actually out of the UK called Medic 8. And I think they've done a really cool thing with their retinol. It's retinaldehyde, so it is the most potent OTC formulation, but they have a stair-step way to work your way into it. So you start with their retinol, crystal retinol 3, and you go through a tube of it, and then you go to 5, and it's an increasing strength ways for you to tolerate it. So it's a really easy way for a novice to kind of work their way up through a retinol.
So that's a brand you recommend. Like you said, there are a million of them out there. Are there any other brands? Let's say that, forget the prescription, because that's a whole different deal. But if you're going to go over the counter retinol, Splurge, Steel, can you name a couple of brands you like? And again, we're not getting paid anything for this.
Yeah.
This is just bringing women good information.
So my favorite tolerable non-prescription retinol that I've used personally for 1,000 years is by a company called SkinBetter. Alpha Ret is their retinol product. They've got 2 formulations. They add glycolic acid into it, and it's just an elegant formulation, very tolerable for sensitive skin. It's going to run about $140, so that definitely to me is a splurge. Over the counter, every brand you know has a retinol now. So I love CeraVe. They have a retinol resurfacing serum. La Roche-Posay, which is a French company that is now in the US, they've gotten a retinol B3 liquid formulation. ROC, which has been around forever, is a great retinol formulation. So I just tell people, start with one, use a bottle of it. If your skin tolerates it, research, go a little bit stronger next time.
Okay. You know, one thing that occurs to me here before we go on, let's say that there's a woman listening right now who's 70 and she hasn't taken real good care of her skin, but she would like to look as good as she can. Will this stuff you're talking about help? I mean, your mom's about my age.
Yep.
Can you start at 60 or 70 and make significant improvement in where you are?
You can. So the people that have not done anything through the years, you throw some prescription strength tretinoin on them for a year and they will have marked changes just because they haven't done anything. And all of this sudden their brown spots are gone and or less and their wrinkles are softer. So yes, it's never too late to start any of these things.
Okay, let's talk. I know you're a big proponent of sunscreen. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is that I'm reading more and more about how important vitamin D is for brain health and other things, for cognitive things, which are, of course, of concern to women over 50. How do you balance those two? I go out for a walk every morning and I wear a cap so that I don't get a lot of sun on my face, but I'm not wearing sunscreen because I want to get that vitamin D. What do you do there?
So this is probably the biggest question I get. So the research shows that you only need 10 minutes of natural sunlight 2 to 3 times a week to kind of recharge your vitamin D battery, for lack of a better word. We live in Texas. Everybody listening might live in Texas. We are getting, just by living, way more than that on a daily basis. Our sunscreen is not fully blocking out all of the absorption. So, Jane, if you're walking at 7 a.m., UV index is 0 to 1. I'm going to be honest, I'm not putting sunscreen on my body either. I'll throw a hat on. You're going to get a little bit of your vitamin D recharge and go out throughout the day. If you're a tennis player like me, you need sunscreen on. You need a visor. You need body sunscreen on. You're getting way too much UV damage at that point. But those early morning walks, I'm fine with. You're going to get enough. Living your daily life, you're getting enough vitamin D. Don't forget about food sources. I'm a nutrition major, or my initial degree is in nutrition. And don't forget about food sources. I mean, there's lots of great vitamin D food sources, fatty fish, fortified dairy, all of that. All that's going to help with bones, skin, brain, cancer prevention. So vitamin D is important.
You know, the other thing that is really interesting to me is how much difference I see in my skin. I'm a pretty good healthy eater most of the time, but if I get off track for a weekend or whatever, my skin doesn't look as good on Monday morning. That's my experience? Is that my imagination, or how much difference do you see in skin texture, skin laxity when someone really tries to eat a healthy, good diet?
Yeah, I mean, when you're eating bad, we're learning so much more about inflammation, systemic inflammation, skin inflammation. It's not good for you. Alcohol, when after people drink, you have a glass of wine or two, your skin does not look as good. Dehydration, your skin does not look as good. Lack of sleep, your skin does not look as good. All of those bad things are breaking down your collagen every second. So being the best we can in all those areas of our life is going to help our skin too.
Okay, we're going to get to collagen supplements in just a second. But before we get to that, I want to talk about sagging skin. And what I mean by that is like around the jawline, the dreaded jawline. I interviewed David Weir, who you know, and he's done Morpheus 8, a procedure on me a few times in order to try to reduce that skin laxity. What about products? He's done Morpheus 8, which is radio frequency skin tightening. Is there anything else that you recommend in terms of a procedure, or are there any products that actually help with skin tightening that really help?
Skin sagging and tightening is hard. That's one of the harder things. That and under eyes are the two places that we still kind of struggle with. Radio frequency microneedling, which is what Morpheus 8 is, definitely can help stimulate collagen, help with a little bit of tightening. There's another procedure called Oil Therapy, which we actually have at my office. There's another brand called Softwave, which is a ultrasound based skin tightening, really focuses on the jawline. You can kind of do around your face and your lid. And that sort of this energy hits the same planes as you would facelift. I always tell people there is not a single procedure, and David works for a very famous plastic surgeon, and he will say the same thing. There is not a single procedure or product that is going to do what a facelift will do. So if a facelift is in the cards for anybody, I think that they're gorgeous results now. It's not like how they used to look in the 90s and everyone looked windblown. So I know you're scared of plastic surgery, and I'm not suggesting that at all, but facial plastic surgery has come a long way and you can yield beautiful results. So some people will spend thousands and thousands on all of these kind of minimally low yield procedures when it turns out maybe a facelift would have been the right thing. Products, a retinol, collagen stimulation, but no, there's not going to be anything that you're going to wake up and feel like you your jawline is way tighter. So I wouldn't say anything specific.
That's a decision that each woman has to make, is how far she wants to go down that road, or whether she can live with some laxity in the skin. That's really an individual thing, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go to collagen, because right now I'm doing my, what is it? The Vital Proteins or whatever it is, that has the collagen in it. And sometimes when I'm doing it, I'm like, I don't know if this works or not. What does work to try to stimulate collagen as much as possible? You mentioned the radio frequency skin tightening does stimulate collagen. I think that's worked for me. And by the way, you mentioned the Ulthera.
Yes.
I did Ulthera starting in my 50s. And I think may have helped, because I think that it helped build a structure underneath, helped strengthen that, or whatever it does with that collagen underneath, that has helped my skin somewhat. But aside from procedures, what can you do? Can you eat something or drink bone broth? Does it make any difference?
Collagen studies are limited. They are doing way more studies on collagen now, kind of how we systemically absorb it. So collagen is an amino acid or a protein. It does have to be broken down in the gut. So how much of that is actually going back to our skin, helping with our wrinkles and our nails and our hair? There's just not enough to say yet. Now, I also take a collagen supplement because there's no harm in it. If there's small benefit, like you're putting it in your coffee, it's $40 for a bag, fine. Like, is it doing more? A lot of people just say focus on protein, which we are in the protein revolution. So bone broth is super high in protein. We all know our protein sources, but I don't know that collagen separately outside of a good high protein diet you're going to notice a ton of difference. But look, if you're a vegetarian or you're not eating a ton of fish or meat, throw collagen in your coffee.
Okay. What about this whole new thing with exosomes? It's exesomes. What are exosomes? What products are they in? What's your opinion on whether they work? What's a splurge? What's a steal?
I'm so glad you asked this. This is actually the product land field thing that we talk about all day long. So I was approached by an exosome company almost 2 years ago. They were just launching in the US. And I spent almost 6 months with them learning about what their product would do before we even considered bringing it on our office. I met with the lead scientist. I wanted to know exactly what they did. And now this was 2 years ago. Now are we in the exosome revolution? I am a big fan of a company called Plated. That's the company that kind of is the first to market. They are platelet-derived exosomes. So these are human-derived platelets. They are out of the Mayo Clinic. Describing what exosomes do is a little bit complicated. They are these messengers that signal your skin to do all the things that you don't like. I know that sounds really simple, but they are collagen stimulators, skin brighteners, DNA repair. I mean, it is the new wave. I always preface it by saying the exosomes that work, because now you're going to be bombarded with exosomes, are the ones that are human-derived, because human-derived exosomes talk to human skin. There's a bunch of plant-based exosomes. There's a bunch of companies, and sometimes they don't tease that out. Plant-based exosomes aren't bad. They just act as antioxidants. They are not doing the same thing as human-derived exosomes. I think that Plated is doing the best right now, the way they're sourcing them, the science they're using them. They've got NIH grants for wound healing and other things. So to me, this is a company that I have supported and have sold a ton of their product and supported them based on their data and research. So I am a fan of exosomes.
So if I use Plated, which honestly I do, I use it. It's not cheap. What kind of results can a woman expect? I mean, I don't know how to separate that out from anything else that I use. So what kind of results could a woman look for? Because and is there a cheaper version than Plated that works? Because you said that you'll see a lot of things advertised now that are the vegan exosomes or whatever, and that's kind of a different category.
I think that a lot of skincare I position is it's going to cumulatively help over time. So we talked about hydroquinone and pigment correctors. You're visually going to see your brown spots get better. That's just an easy, very instant gratification type procedure or type product. Plated and exosomes are going to be slower to work, but in the types of things that people notice, reduction in redness is a big one. A lot of women, especially menopause, perimenopause, run a little bit redder. So redness reduction is a big one. Texture, I think people will comment on. It layers great with products, so it actually helps other products work better. So I don't know that you're gonna wake up after a $258 bottle of Plated and think you've had a facelift, but I think over time you are creating some of those essential building blocks to maintain your healthy skin and improve it over time too.
Okay, before we go to break, because we're going to come back and talk about brightening your skin, but before we go to break, I want to ask you about something that every woman over 60 deals with, and that's the dimples that appear on your arms. And it's so frustrating because all those cute little dresses you had that were sleeveless, you're like, am I stuck now wearing sleeves forever? Is there anything to do? I work out. I work out 3 times a week. I do all kinds of things, and I still have some dimpling on my arm, and I really don't know what to do about it. Is there anything to do?
I mean, again, that's back to the skin laxity kind of sagging thing. So as long as you're getting your protein in and you're lifting your weights, those are the things you can do at home. Procedures like Morpheus, radio frequency microneedling can aid in some tightening. There is a super cool retinol body stick, which I didn't talk about previously, by Rock. And I think that it's you wouldn't want to probably put it all over just because who can do like a deodorant stick all over. But I tell women they can use this stick kind of in the places that they hate for even some more skin tightening. So that can help a little bit. Again, some of it's just gravity and age. And unless you do some plastic surgery, we're going to have to live with some of it.
But this body stick you're talking about, could it do some improvement?
Yeah, it's called the Rock Derm Correcting Firming Serum Stick. It's like $30 on Amazon. You can do it. I like it neck because everyone hates their neck, arms, and even don't forget the tops of your hands. People hate brown spots there. So I think that's a really cool way to apply retinol. And you'll do it like you can set it on your bedstand and do it right before you go to bed.
Okay, you mentioned hands. My hands have seen way too much sun. It's very frustrating to me. Other than a retinol product, which I put on my hands now to try to build that up just a little bit, is there anything else specifically for hands? Because I know you must get a lot of questions.
Yeah. Actually, IPL on the hands is great. You can just do IPL on your hands and not do it on your face. You can do your vitamin C. There are vitamin C body lotions too. Nécessaire is a company that has one that can aid in some brightening too. You can do filler in the hands. When you start to get a little veiny, you can pop.
Oh, I know.
There
Trust me.
To improve hands, depending again how much you want to spend.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to brighten your skin. What's the scariest thing to most people? Public speaking, whether it's in front of a crowd or if you're just speaking to a camera on your social media. Most people are terrified of public speaking, and sometimes they miss opportunities because they don't know how to promote their product or to speak well when it comes to public speaking. I've been doing public speaking all my life. I've been in front of a camera all my life, and I've done a lot of public speaking in front of crowds. And I have learned some tips and tricks that will help anybody. If you're trying to improve your communication skills, whether it's a video you want to do for social media, or maybe you have to speak in front of a corporate board, maybe you want to be better on your Zoom calls. I have all kinds of techniques that I teach. I do a master class for corporations that need someone to help them teach their executives, teach their doctors, their lawyers, other professionals who may have a lot of knowledge but don't always communicate it well. Jane McGarry Media is my website. You can book a consultation with me. I would love to help you. Okay, one procedure we have not talked about yet is microabrasion. What exactly can a woman expect from microabrasion? Is there a splurge and a steal on that? What's involved and what is it going to help with?
So microdermabrasion is kind of one of the original skin things that have been done. And it's basically just gritty kind of exfoliation. And exfoliation is what kind of turns over your skin cells. I don't know that anybody in town has a plain Jane microdermabrasion machine anymore. Now it's kind of wrapped into these facials. So everyone's heard of a hydrofacial that has kind of a microderm component to it. I love these type of hydrofacial. We have one called Genio. I love these type of facials. They're more of a medical grade facial, but you're going to get some exfoliation, some hydration. So those procedures, not crazy expensive, can do them. Some people come once a month, some people do them quarterly. That's just to kind of brighten the skin. Your products penetrate better, no downtime. So I'm a fan.
Okay, I've got 3 things that I just thought of that I want to ask you about before we go on. I want to ask you about facials, I want to ask you about daily exfoliation, and I want to ask you about any products that we all see every day on Instagram, like any of the microneedling or whatever that stuff is you can do to yourself. So let's start out with facials. Do facials help long term, or is it just a short term help? And what kind of facial do you recommend and how often?
So I position facials in 2 different categories, and I have great friends that are facialists that their entire business is doing manual facials. So manual facials, what you would think of it as a spa or a med spa has them. They're getting some lymphatic, massage and drainage. And then a facial is just a term for whatever product they want to sort of put on your face. So you can get, hydrating facials and exfoliating facials. And I position those more as sort of like a luxury, not have to do. I personally don't get facials. I don't have time. That's not because I'm against them. But I think that's a kind of a luxury thing. You can get kind of more medical grade facials. We do a ton of teen acne facials. That's not helpful for this crowd, but maybe grandkids, kids. And then hydrofacials. Genio is another kind of oxygen infusion facial, which are more medical grade. And I think those can be really helpful too. I don't think a facial is a necessary part of a skincare routine, but you can benefit from them.
Okay, that's what I appreciate about you, though. You're honest about it. It's a luxury if you want to go do it, but not really necessary. You did mention the lymphatic drainage, which is something we see a lot of. Is that a thing, or is that another thing that's just sort of a luxury?
I mean, there's you can do all this lymphatic stuff at home with gua sha and rolling and all this.
Mhm.
I don't know that I don't know that it's going to give you a jawline, but I certainly think continuing blood flow and all that will help with just overall skin health. But I'm not sitting here doing gua sha every night or anything like that. I do
Okay.
think that for instant gratification, I know a couple girls facialists in town that do a gorgeous lymphatic massage facial. And for like a big event, you're going to look kind of sculpted and hydrated. So maybe a wedding or a big ball or something.
One thing that occurs to me when you're talking about blood circulation is my skin always looks better when I go exercise really hard and sweat. So the blood circulation, you can get going with something like that, right?
Yeah, you can. And I do hot exercise. So I work out in a really, 95-degree studio 3 times a week. And I swear I walk out and my skin I've sweat and I've gotten all those toxins out, and I come take a shower and my skin is just more glowy from that. So yes, exercise can do wonders for your skin.
Okay. And so you bring me to my next question out of those 3. The next thing I do, especially here in Texas where it's so hot in the morning, I'm sweating when I come back because I really try to vigorously walk, do a little bit of, walking as fast as I can. And I come back and I'm all sweaty. And the next thing I do is I jump in the shower. I exfoliate every day my face. I use a bamboo product. I think you know what it is. It's Ariclea bamboo cleanser. I use that every morning. I've never had a problem exfoliating every morning with that. Is that an issue for you, or is daily exfoliation a good thing?
Exfoliation is great. Retinol is going to be a chemical exfoliator. So I think you just have to balance how much exfoliation you're doing. If you're using it in a cleanser and it's not crazy gritty beads or even it's glycolic acid and your skin tolerates it, great. You're turning those skin cells turnover. You've got to shed the skin. That's the goal. The problem is if we over exfoliate, which a lot of people do, everyone's exfoliating to the extreme these days, then your skin barrier gets compromised. You get irritated. Your skin looks worse because it's dry and peely. So finding a balance is important.
So you mentioned the skin barrier. I've been reading a lot about that, about women are doing too much and they're compromising the skin barrier. I actually have a friend who I think maybe got into that predicament. How do you know how much to do? And when is the like flashing warning sign you're doing too much to your skin?
So exfoliation, ideally a couple times a week to start. If you're using a chemical exfoliator like retinol or glycolic acid, you probably don't need additional cleansers in the beginning when your skin's trying to get used to it. Then you can add other exfoliators in. Um, Skin barrier compromise, which is like all the rage to talk about too, is where your skin is red and peely and it might burn when you're using your gentle cleanser and you put your normal products on and they sting. And that's when your skin is not protective enough for you. So the way you get back to baseline is gentle cleansers. And I have kind of some skin healing products. There's one called Aven, a French company, Sickle Fade, that's a very hydrating barrier repair. And you can just type in barrier repair and get a million hits now. But if your barrier is compromised, it's probably going to take a week or two of doing really nothing but hydration and barrier repair to get back, and then ease back into your exfoliants and probably not as frequent as you were doing them before.
Okay, I get on Instagram, and maybe it's because I talk about skincare a lot with other people, but I get 1,000 skincare things on Instagram. Is there anything you've seen out there that's just a consumer product, which you're like, you know what, that really works? That's a good thing that women might want to pay attention to that they may see coming across their Instagram feed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of LED light masks. If you follow anybody, everyone has one now. We know that red light specifically is great. Another collagen stimulator can help with brown spots. I do my LED mask probably 3 to 5 nights a week. They range, good ones are $300 to $400, but like I've had mine for a couple of years. So I am a fan of those. Microcurrent devices. There's one called Zip. There's another one. I'm going to lose the name. Are those little energy-based devices? I actually will do those on my jawline when I'm consistent. They're usually 3 to 6 minutes. And I do think the next day, those can help a little bit with some kind of structural support too. So those would be the two I get a little nervous about the microneedling. If there's needles going into your skin, they're going to dull over time. I haven't done a ton of research on them, but I worry about cleanliness too. So I think there's probably some at-home like microneedling devices that are fine, but I think that's a better thing to say for the office.
Okay, let's talk about vitamin C, because when I think of your skin looking radiant, I think of vitamin C. How much vitamin C do you need to put on your skin? Are there really, I think there's no downside, but they can be expensive. Is there, the Splurge probably would be the C ferulic? Is that the one I'm
Yes.
thinking of, which is everybody says, oh, that's the gold standard?
Yeah.
Can you get a good result with a less expensive vitamin C?
Certainly. So vitamin C is kind of one of the three essential skincare ingredients. Things have evolved now, and so a lot of products have more than just vitamin C in them. But let's talk about kind of the original gold standard, which is L-ascorbic acid. SkinCeuticals was the first company to put out a beautiful product. It was shelf stable. Um, Vitamin C fights free radicals, helps kind of create a shield to prevent all of that stuff trying to break down our collagen. People love CE ferulic. It's been around since 2005. They sold to L'Oreal. So before that, so it's been around a long time. It's expensive. I think it's upwards of $200. It is their most popular SKU out of that entire line, and people will not stray from it. Now every company has a vitamin C. The technology is out there to have a shelf-stable vitamin C at a much lower price point. So I personally don't think you need to spend a ton on a vitamin C. I am spending my money somewhere on a peptide or exosome product at this point that doesn't have a steal to it, whereas the vitamin C's out there now, La Roche-Posay, CeraVe, Vanicream, everybody, you can get a vitamin C from 20 all the way to 250, and they all work great.
So what I hear you saying then is C ferulic, they were like the first. And at the time, that was the only one that was available that was of that quality. But now so name again then, because I want to save some money. So 4 or 5 vitamin C's that are going to give you as good a results at a lesser price. What are they?
There's a company that is widely popular at Sephora called In Beauty Project. I love a lot of their products. They have a vitamin C called the Green Machine. Vanny Cream, which is a very skin sensitive line, has a vitamin C that has a little bit different ingredient called THD. SkinCeuticals is L-ascorbic acid. That is one of my favorite Steel products. I think it's $20 and it's super tolerable. La Roche-Posay has a vitamin C very similar to SkinCeuticals. That'll land you about 40. So I think some of those kind of leader brands that you've heard of all have vitamin C's now that are great.
Oh, wow. That's great information. I could save a lot of money with those. Okay. Finally, speaking of saving money, all these skincare products, all these procedures can just add up to a lot of money. And it's money that most people don't have. I'm careful about I'm trying to be very selective on the products that I pick. Plus, I don't want to use 1,000 products. I don't have time. Can't figure it all out. What are the things you think are essential? Let's look first at if you were going to pick one or two procedures that you think are really important for women over 50, my age. I'm well over 50. And then 3 or 4 products for a skincare routine. What are your recommendations?
So procedures, which we haven't touched on, I love microneedling, plain microneedling, not energy-based radio frequency, which I also love and have done. But I think instead of facials, if I'm going to my esthetician, I'm choosing microneedling. One of the most famous microneedling companies is called SkinPen. So a lot of people call it SkinPen. It is a 30-minute procedure, tiny little needles that go into the skin. We're back to that whole stimulate collagen, products penetrate better. So a lot of my patients are like, Alyssa, should I do a facial? What should I do? SkinPen 4 times a year is a great thing. It runs maybe $300 to $400. So you're going to get a really good service for what I would consider out of all the things semi-affordable. And then I would do a laser once. I would do a big laser once a year. I would do a halo. I would do a Fraxel, CO2, one of these big lasers, and kind of set aside, you're going to spend $1,000, $2,000 on one of these big lasers once a year. And I think those two things are a great kind of procedural based approach to aging skin.
Okay. What about products? Everyday products.
I want to talk about a product because I haven't been able to talk about it. And you've probably seen me talk about it. It is a company out of MIT. And I want everybody to know about this because she is the first to market with this very special ingredient. The company is called Pavise. And she is a scientist. She's 32. She came from China when she was 16 and has accolades. She's got a star named after her. I mean, this woman is brilliant already. She created a molecule in her MIT lab. She was a cancer researcher, created a molecule in her lab called Diamond Core. And her hallmark product is a treatment. So it's got peptides, antioxidants, doesn't have vitamin C, but it has your antioxidants, which we don't necessarily need specific vitamin C anymore. Peptides, those are the collagen strengtheners, pigment correctors. And the coolest part, which she hates me starting out by saying this, it has sunscreen. So if you want a single product that will yield you amazing results, and I'm not getting paid for this, I just love to support her. Pavise Daily Dynamic Age Defense is a really cool product. It can be your all-in-one morning product. I personally do layer it with my plated and a vitamin C just because I like how it feels, but it is a great dewy moisturizer. I do not skip a day without it. It goes beautiful under makeup. So that's her leading product. Jane, I want you to try it. You will love it. And all the women, every woman I've sold it to over 50 loves it. It is so hydrating. It is a beautiful product. She's now come out with an eye cream. There's an evening product and a face wash, but this is a company you want to be looking out for because there's going to be a lot of innovation from her lab. She's got patents beyond patents for things. So look into that. Outside of that, we did not touch on sunscreen. So if you have a solid routine, you've got retinol, you've got your vitamin C, you're washing your face, and you've got a moisturizer. This is so funny still to me. I'm going to out my mom. I don't know that my mom wears sunscreen every day outside of the house. My kids know that I cannot walk out of my house, no matter if I'm going to exercise or whatever, without sunscreen on. So if I can drive one thing home, put a sunscreen on every day, especially on your face. We don't have to be perfect about our body every day if we're in and out of the car, but a sunscreen is going to be truly one of the best things you can do for anti-aging.
I'm convinced it's a generational thing. I'm like your mom. I might not, use a sunscreen every day. My son and his girlfriend don't go anywhere without a sunscreen. Convinced. More power to you. I wish I would have done it earlier.
That's what I think. I think everyone's like, well, it's a losing battle at this point. I'm like, well, but you're doing all these other things. So let's just add sunscreen to the mix. So I think it's not too late to start sunscreen.
Alyssa, you're just wonderful. I really appreciate your time. You've given us so much knowledge, so much care for women who really, really appreciate your time, your knowledge, and your gorgeous skin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane, for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Ageless with Jane McGarry. I'm calling it Ageless because I want us to be in good enough health, good enough spirituality, emotional health, style, beauty, all that kind of stuff, that age truly is just a number. I want you to also know that this is a community. It's not just a podcast. It's a community of women caring about each other, inspiring each other. Without you, it's not possible. So I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Ageless with Jane McGarry.